I grew up here in Miami, Florida, and I was going through Miami-Dade Community College and I was working with my dad, and my dad had to shut down his business, and he told me, George, you're going to have to go find a job. And I said, okay, Dad. But we were in a recession at the time. So I had no idea. So my name is Jorge Valdes. There was a commissioner named Jorge Valdes at the time. I'm sending resumes to everybody, praying that the name would resonate with somebody. Utter crickets I got.
Wow.
No response whatsoever. And then there was a guy selling him a health insurance policy from Mutual of Omaha at the office when we were having trouble paying the rent. And my dad tells him, hey, why don't you take this guy to Mutual of Omaha, see if they'll offer him a job. Of course, I'm the ripe age of 21, jet black hair, black mustache back in the 80s. You know, that was the look. And so I went to Mutual of Omaha, and they told me I was crazy, that no one was going to listen to my opinion or my counsel at age 21 about their insurance needs. And there was a lady by the name of Juanita Gino who liked my personality and she liked my ambition. And she said, I think I can work with this kid. So I started in October of 89, and I had, basically every week you need to make a quota, except for the first 2 weeks. But by the third week, if you do not make the quota, you lose your income and you get fired that day.
Wow.
There is no second chance in sales. Okay. So obviously a little bit stressful, but it wasn't like I had a tremendous amount of other opportunities. So I started selling insurance with Mutual of Omaha, and I made President's Club, which was like not the highest club, but the second highest club, by December 31st. And I started on October 1st. So in 3 months,
Wow.
I made President's Club. Then I turned 22 in January, and I was at Mutual of Omaha probably for another 3 years. Left there because they basically told me to sell what they wanted me to sell, and I realized that they were good at some stuff, but not at everything, like Pro Activators.
Okay.
Very hard to find a Pro Activator that's good at everything. Like my gym could use some Pro Activation. So, long story short is I end up leaving Mutual of Omaha, and I start in the garage of my house. Wasn't this house, it was another house I had. And then my first little girl was born. And I had a choice. I had an old Maxima. And I remember as a salesperson, you're supposed to have a nice car. So I said to myself, well, I should get a nice car so when I drive up, people are impressed. Or maybe I can get an employee, maybe a part-time employee, because it's all I can afford, who can help me make the copies and the phone calls and all the clerical, administrative stuff. So that way I can free up my stuff, or my time rather, to selling more. So I got a part-time housewife that lived in the neighborhood, would come from 9 to 1 p.m. And with that one employee, I ended up being able to buy my new car 3 months later.
What'd you get?
A Lexus. It was my
Nice.
first Lexus ES350 lease. And I remember that, I'll never forget this, because I had never bought such a nice car before. They sent me a platter of cupcakes. And when they knocked on my door after I had bought this car that I loved, by the way, and they give me cupcakes, and they said, it's Lexus of Kendall sending you cupcakes. I started sending cupcakes to all of my clients after I would sell them.
Nice.
And a lot of people would call me and thank me because I just felt so warm and fuzzy when I got those cupcakes, because I was so happy with the car. I didn't need the cupcakes. but it was just a great, I guess, exceeding of expectation that Lexus of Kendall did that I've never forgotten, and I tried to reciprocate that with my clients.
You still doing that? Wow.
We got a little bigger, and it dropped off. You know what? Listen, sticking to the basics is probably one of the most difficult things as you grow and as things change. So for many years, so I started in the insurance industry, but I really didn't love the insurance industry. I liked more finance. So I started getting more into investments. I became a certified financial planner. I started insurance in 89. I was a certified financial planner by 99 because I started doing these seminars. And these seminars were about financial education. The only thing was that I wasn't like an expert financial planner, so I needed to really study up before my class so I could instruct Remember how you mentioned to me that when you have to teach something, it solidifies it in your brain?
Yeah.
Well, I think I became such a good financial guy, not because I knew that much before I started teaching the class, but because of the preparation I had to do to teach the class.
Right.
And so I did seminars for probably about a year or 2 years. And then I remember a couple times they raised their hand and said, hey, this was like 96, 97, said, hey, George, are you a certified financial planner? And I remember being incredibly embarrassed because I was not. I was a registered investment advisor. I had every freaking license you can, but I was not a certified financial planner, which was the premier industry designation. So I said, I'm going to take a year off. I'm going to get my CFP, which I did. But while I was studying for the CFP, I guess because I got so well honed in my financial skills preparing for the seminars, I ended up taking a lot of time off to study for the CFP and made more money without doing the seminars. So even though I got the CFP because of the seminars, I never went back to doing the seminars after that.
Okay.
Well, because getting home at 10 o'clock at night kind of sucked, to be honest with you. My kids were already asleep. The only fun thing was that I used to give cookies at the breaks of these seminars, and my kids would get very excited the next morning when they would wake up and there were some cookies left.
I know about that.
So yeah, so seminars really was a very challenging time in my life. Just so you know, so I started in '89. I left Omaha like in '93, and then I was getting pretty successful to like '96. And then I went to this meeting, and they had the seminar presenters there, the people who invented the seminar. And they were the most amazing family. The name of the seminar was Successful Money Management Seminars. It was a franchise you had to buy. Cost like $8,000 or $9,000, which it's not like I had a ton of money back then. And in addition, I had to spend $10,000 a month doing direct mail to get people to come into the seminars, to then hopefully they like me enough that after the third session, they decide to hire me as their financial advisor. So this was like my first, when I started thinking more like a businessman, I guess after the part-timer, because the part-timer was a really great start.
Nice.
Just because you can, multiply your time, obviously. So long story short is I had never done any public speaking. I remember like if it was yesterday, my very first seminar. And in my very first seminar, I was shaking like a leaf. I have tremendous social skills, but speaking in public is weird.
Yeah.
When you do it the first time. I remember I started talking about 100 miles an hour. And I had my best friend in the audience who was there to support me. And he just told me, hey. And by the 6th or 7th minute, I slowed down and I got more comfortable. And then I became a really, really good public speaker after a ton of seminars. But I say that only because I was so scared and I was already making okay money. But I still pushed myself out of my comfort zone, which is the most difficult thing for us to do at times,
right,
to try to get to that next level. And to be honest with you, it was probably the best investment I ever made.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know if I answered too much.
No. That's fine. I mean,
I pressed that by
press the
mistake.
button. That's good. That means that means I'm next.
Oh, good.
All right. So, do you remember any type of habits that you implemented in your life back then that for you to excel in a certain area? Or was it all like, can you pinpoint any certain habits that you...
100%.
All right, tell us about that.
Okay, so I used to read all kinds of books, as you do.
Okay.
Zig Ziglar was my favorite. Okay, I don't know if you've ever read Zig Ziglar, probably before your time. And Zig Ziglar always talked about the importance of goals, but I never really understood, because when you're really young and you're reading those books, you really don't know what they're talking about. Then I got the part-time employee. I now had 2 little girls. Okay, so there was no time to be messing around. If I don't sell, we don't eat. So I said to myself, okay, if I can make a $2,000 a week income goal in new sales, even if I don't get it now, if I get it 3 months from now, as long as it totals within the next 12 months, $2,000, I have met my goal, because with the residual or other income I was already making, plus those new sales, maybe my income would have been a couple $100,000, which was pretty decent at that time.
Wow, nice.
So I would tell you that, and I said to myself that if I did not achieve that goal, my punishment would be that I had to work on Saturdays because I would set my own hours. I was an independent contractor salesperson. So you either work as much as you can or you don't work at all. I was always that guy that when I hit my goal by Wednesday, I would work on next week's goal because you never know when you're not going to hit it. So I'm about having this little cushion that for me is very de-stressful because if I'm right there just making it, it's super stressful.
Right.
Especially if you don't make it.
Yeah.
And I never worked a Saturday, ever.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
I did meet my goal.
Okay. So what is it? Now, let me ask you something. That little bit of a punishment, because that's a thing now, right? It's a thing that you give yourself a punishment or a consequence for not achieving something. Did you learn that from somewhere or you just came up with that on your own?
No, I guess from listening to Zig Ziglar and the goals, I needed to have something that I was either going to reward myself or punish myself with. And I don't know, I've always been a masochist for some reason. So I said, you know what? If I've been a bad boy and I haven't sold enough for my little girls, then I need to work on Saturday.
Perfect. That's good. That's good because that pushes you. Yeah.
Pushing in any sales is the most important thing because let's face it, you can take 2 days off a week. And I know a lot of salespeople who will make their goal and take the rest of the week off. I've never been wired that way.
That's good. That's what makes you a Pro Activator.
I think so, man. Thank you again for including me in that group.
All right. Now, okay. So now you're moving up the ladder. You're making more money. And you have when did you start your company? When did you see, like, at what point did you see that, wow, this is at another level? Like, I've taken off.
Okay, so when I left Mutual of Omaha in '93, I made my company. It was called Valdes Insurance Planning because of the initials VIP.
I like that.
Okay, but then when I started doing the successful money management seminars, I realized that Valdes, probably for the Anglos, wasn't going to be super cool. So I did an amendment change to Financial Designs Inc., which is still the name of my company today.
Okay.
And then Financial Designs Inc., what it does today is employee benefits for all of the business owners to make sure that their employees are happy. And then we help the business owners with every single aspect of their financial lives, whether it's retirement planning, investments, life insurance, wills, trusts, you name it. So kind of like from A through Z on that side. I don't know if I answered your question. I think I drifted, sir.
No, that's fine. I just want to know if you remember, if you can tell us exactly the moment when you saw that you made it to another level.
Okay, so yeah, I would say that I was beginning to feel the other level with the part-time employee.
Really? That early?
Well, I wasn't super stressed out like I was on a daily basis when I was doing everything by myself. So yes, the part-time employee, I was maybe averaging close to $100,000. This was like in 93, 94.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So yeah, so I was feeling a little bit better. Now, to be honest with you, the only time I can tell you that I feel like I made it to another level was probably after I did all of these seminars and got really well versed in my communication skills, public. And then when I would get somebody one-on-one, it was almost like not fair because I'm used to speaking to a group of people and engaging them all. So one-on-one was like kind of easy. So I would say probably 10 years after, so 99 or 2000, I felt like I had already made with this thing called top of the table, which is like the top 5% of all life insurance people in the world. And then I became top of that, which is the top 1%. But that wasn't until like 2004.
Okay.
So I was selling already for like 15 years.
Wow.
It wasn't overnight, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now, tell me about some of the books that really made an impression on you. Like any specific books that you remember?
The Art of the Deal, buddy.
The Art of the Deal.
Donald J.
Donald
Trump.
What?
Swear to God.
Nice. Okay.
Zig Ziglar, see you at the top.
Okay.
See you at the, his famous line is, and by the way, I live and die by this rule of Zig Ziglar. very religious guy like you, very great guy, just a good values guy. He said, you help enough people get what they want and you will get what you want.
Nice.
And that's what I've always done. And anytime I leave a client, I think to myself, is that client in a better place now after he met me than he was before he met me? And if the answer to that is yes, I high five myself and I'm super happy and it made my day.
Nice. So you made that a principle in your life.
100%. I will never sell anything to hurt anybody. I only if it's going to help us mutually will I do it.
Do you have a mission statement for your business?
We make the complicated simple.
All right. Now, what about the art of the deal? Did you get anything? What is it that you got out of that book that really took you to the next level?
Well, this guy, I read that when I was 18, 19. I didn't get to the next level until I was like 29,
something
30.
out of there that you took with you. Nothing specific?
No. I could just say the influence of just a leader and a guy that makes things happen, very direct. I hate, beating around the bush. I'm very transparent. A lot of some people don't like me because I will tell you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. And we all know he's just like that. Yeah. So I can definitely associate with that. And some people might not appreciate the truth. But even when I lose a client and I'm mad, I will, after I cool down, I will think about that. And even though I might not necessarily agree, I will always learn something from that. And then get the clients that I love to death and make sure that there's never a scenario that can present itself where I could end up losing that. Because right now it's not so much about the money. It's more about the relationships.
Okay. Now you said that some of your kids, they work with you?
All three of my amazing children work with me. I have Jessica, 31 years of age, who has my grandson on the way. She is 4 months pregnant, so I am ecstatic about that. I'm a kid guy. I love kids. And to be honest with you, I'm pissed off she's taking this long. I got Jennifer, who's a certified financial planner, and she founded a wealth division, to be honest with you, because even though I've always had I've been very, very strong on the insurance end and been good at the investments, she's a next level investment person because she worked 5 years at another firm that managed billions of dollars. So she learned a lot over there and then brought it over and then did a partnership with Dad. So she's my partner in that company. And then my third and youngest child, who just turned 25, Jorge Valdes Jr., my little protege, is also a certified financial planner and a fiduciary for 401ks, so has another destination that I don't even have. So my kids are not those silver spoon kids. My kids know that if they're not going to go do what I do at Financial Designs, they can go work somewhere else.
Okay. That's good. And that's another thing that makes you a pro activator, because when you have kids that you teach the right way and you have a good fruit, right? Yes. Then that's another area of your life that you have excelled at. Okay, so if you're a father that you are proud of your children, that you made good citizens out of them, that you are proud of them, that means that the time, the investment that you put in them as when they were kids, okay, now you see the fruit. Am I correct?
You couldn't be more correct. So I hate technology as a result of what you were just talking about. So while my kids were growing up, it was DVDs in the Escalades. I had DVDs. They never turned on. We talked. How was school? Who tried you today? What did that butthead say to you? How are we going to get around this? So it was always interaction, which I think is something we've lost, because you look at a dinner table and the phone has become one of the participants at the dinner table. The beauty of being able to describe something is kind of gone, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, if there was something, if you were to ask me what I am most proud of in my life, is that many of my friends for many, many years want their kids to work at my office because of what my kids have accomplished. They say, George, it's not because of what you've done. It's because of what you've done with your kids.
Right.
So that for me is probably the biggest compliment you can give me.
which is also a compliment to Donald Trump. His children have excelled in every area. They're respected. They're great citizens of the community. So
I agree 100%. Some people don't see it that way. I don't understand why, but yeah, I feel like if you have amazing children, you probably are an amazing guy, because usually one of them's going to go south, I have 3, there's a good chance one of them might not have, and they're all 3 totally different. So you have to be able to adapt to, to this one or to that one. And to be able to do that, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Donald Trump, okay? Although I'd like to.
You certain that you have qualities.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, I kind of have a lot of things in common with him, but I didn't want to be the one to say it. But yeah, I think being
to
a
get
good
the results that you have with your children, with your business, okay, you must have done things and follow principles to get the same, very similar results. So.
Definitely. I got divorced at a pretty early age, at 33 years of age. Many opportunities I had to go do things I wanted to do as a man, that if it was kid day, I'm at the park, man. I'm at the park, know? And if I went out and stayed out till 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm at the park on Saturday. Not feeling great, but I'm at the park.
That's good.
So yeah, never. You can ask any of my 3 kids, did I ever miss a day? I was never one of those one weekend yes, one weekend no. It was every other day I would pick them up. Every other day.
Nice.
Take them to dinner after school, all that fun stuff. So yeah, I think it helped. I think they'd agree with me, by the way, my 3 kids. It's not just me saying it.
Yeah. I mean, did you believe that, were you like a strict dad? Like, did you had certain...
No, I'm a very logical dad.
Okay.
I talk to you, you talk to me, you can tell me anything. Anything. Some things I don't want to hear, okay? I will never be a hypocrite. I will never make you hide from me. I had to hide some things from my parents. I had the amazing parents, by the way. Amazing. My parents were divorced, which is why I didn't want to get divorced, but unfortunately it happened. But no, my kids, my daughters, when they had their boyfriends, would tell me everything. Okay?
That's good. So
why? Because I never wanted them to have to hide something from me. So if they wanted to smoke pot, okay, which, kind of taboo while I was growing up. Now it's not that big a deal. I would say, look, if you're going to do that, you might want to do it with me first. I was a modern dad. Listen, I'm divorced. My kids are 8, 7, and 2. Now they're 16, 17, And I did that when I was 14, 15. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not super proud of it, but, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And what I've never done is lie to my kids about anything, even the stuff that I'm not proud of.
Okay.
I did some bad stuff when I was a younger kid, and I straightened out, thank God, because I was on the wrong path until around age 18 or 19. I had a run-in with a gun that I almost died, and I never wanted to do anything illegal again, and just said, you know what, I'm going to stick to Miami-Dade, and I started getting 4.0s, which Miami-Dade is not that big a deal anymore, but for me, it was everything. And I got a solid foundation there because, to be honest with you, in high school, you leave high school here and you don't know anything. I learned my stuff. I remember they flunked me in an English class, and I remember English is a gray subject. It's not black or white like math where it's right or wrong. It's your interpretation. And I remember I had this teacher who was a butthead. I mean, I'll say it like that. And this guy used to just fail. I got a D. And I remember arguing and going to the dean, and the dean said, you're going to have to take the class again. I say negative things turn out to be positive. I got this other guy. His name was Mr. Seniority. I'll never forget this guy. I'm 18, 19. Okay, I'm 56 now. Mr. Seniority would mark up your paper all in red and tell you, hey, you can rewrite the paper and I'll give you the second grade and not the first one. I ended up becoming an awesome writer in that classroom, and I got 100 and I got a 4.0, and I was ecstatic, all thanks to that little tweak that Seniority did, supposed to demeaning you, giving you an opportunity to excel. So I've always tried to do that with my employees, with my kids, with anybody I'm mentoring, I help a lot of other salespeople who don't have the experience that I have try to get to next level sales because they think it's like impossible, like I did when I was their age. So if ever I have an opportunity to help somebody, I drop what I'm doing and I do it because nobody really did it for me.
Okay. Now, how long you graduated from?
So I graduated Miami-Dade. I almost graduated FIU, and I had the 2 girls. And I remember I got I studied hard for a statistics class, and I was already making decent money. And I remember I got a D, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to change my insurance investment now. So I decided to not finish the FIU. So I never got my bachelor's. I'm not ashamed of it because I went into the American college and I got my CFP, which was more for my industry anyway, because I wasn't going to be changing industries.
Okay.
So for me, my bachelor's is like my CFP, but I do not have a bachelor's from FIU. I have a associate's from Miami-Dade and an American college certified financial planner. But I have all this white hair and all this discipline that I'll put up against any Harvard graduate out there. Okay,
that's true. You definitely have the recipe to success. So you got it right.
Thank you.
Got it right. Now, okay, so we touched on your financial area. Let me ask you something. Your company, how much does it make every year, more or less now?
So my company probably makes like $7 or $8 million a year. Of course, there's expenses to that. So probably net profit might be like, I don't know, $3 million.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good, man.
Yep.
Now, so you have a successful business. Your children are successful. That's what you're most proud of.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about your fitness. You're a fit guy.
Yeah.
For your age, obviously you're 51.
56. Thank you.
Okay, 56. Now
Yep.
I see, we go to the gym together. I see you working hard. Okay, you go five days a week?
I go, yeah, but I would say an average of 4 times a week. Usually one of the days I'm hurting and I got to take it off, but yeah, probably an average of 4. Well, but I will work out every once in a while on the weekends that you don't know about.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, probably 4 or 5 times a week, and I go to CrossFit and with you, and he kicks my ass every day. Everybody should know that. But I might try harder than him. I'm just not as fast. So I smoked a little bit and I vaped and I misbehaved a little bit. I think I got to chalk some of that up because, to be honest with you, I've been working out all my life. I was chubby when I was a little kid. Okay. I had my growth spurt. And once I had my growth spurt and a couple girls looked at me, I never wanted to gain weight again. So I have been, and I'll have a tendency to gain weight easily if I don't control myself. So I've always worked out. So do I have an excuse of not being one of the faster guys at CrossFit? Probably not, sir. Probably not.
Well, okay, that's what I was going to go to because, all right, so you decided that you wanted to be fit. What age? Early, like teens?
Yeah.
Early 20s?
13, 14. Remember, so I grew in middle school. I'm 4 feet tall and all of a sudden, and I'm chubby and no one gives me the time of day. And then all of a sudden I get to be like 5'8", 5'9". I have this long, cool hair. It was called a mullet back then with my beautiful black mustache. And I won Best Smile in middle school in West Miami Middle School.
Nice. Okay.
So I was doing okay with the ladies. Nice. I wanted to keep doing okay.
All right. So you started working out. Did you go to the gym or was it?
No,
I
used to punch a bag back then and run and do push-ups and did wheels. I've always done wheels. You do wheels.
What do you mean wheels?
You know the wheels for the abs? The ab cruncher thing? The ab cruncher?
Oh, okay.
A wheel. Okay. There's a wheel at the gym. If you haven't done it, I'll challenge you. That's a good one. I'll get you there. Okay. I'll get you there. It's for abs. It's a pain. You get on your knees, and it's a wheel on your arms, and you just straighten all the way out and come back in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So, and I had just that. I would jog, punch the bag, do push-ups, and do wheels. And then I started working out at LA Fitness like we all do. And then I've been at CrossFit it's going to be 10 years. And maybe a year before that, I had gone to the one by the Big Cheese back in the day.
What got you into CrossFit?
I wanted a little motivation. And then I met Zach and Charles, and Zach was like just a couple years younger than me, and Zach was killing it. So I said, shit, if Zach can do it, I can at least half-ass this. So that's why I did it. And I've been doing it ever since.
Okay. Bro, Zach is a beast, bro.
He is. Zach is good. And Charles. Charles is strong as an ox.
Yeah, well, I haven't worked out with Charles. So, I mean, I see him sometimes in social media working out, but I don't know what it is to work out with Charles.
Right. Well, Charles is a lot stronger. Maybe not as fast, but a lot stronger, I think.
Okay.
Then again, I don't really work out with either one of them. You know what I mean? I tag along behind them, you know?
Yeah.
I'm happy when they lap me once and I end up with them anyway.
Yeah, today Zach beat me by a few seconds. I will say like 45 seconds or something.
Oh, well, that's pretty.
Yeah.
That's a respectable category. Sir.
Yeah, for sure.
I've never had that experience.
Okay, so all right. I mean, I will say that having a mindset of staying healthy throughout your life, having a mindset of obviously staying fit by working out, also is another category for a Pro Activator.
Yes.
Okay, so those. So yeah, that you fit right now 3 categories, which is really good.
Okay.
Is there another area of your life that you feel like you might, that you know that it's not at that level that you probably want to get better at?
There is. Before I move to that, I just want to let you know that maybe for the last year, since I'm 56 now, and I ended up at the chiropractor because of CrossFit here and there, my daughter and my ex-girlfriend were certified yoga instructors. And I started doing yoga, which is one of the things I try to do it at least once, maybe twice a week. And I would highly recommend that to anybody because the stretches that you get there will help your lower back pain, your shoulder, your elbows. So I used to make fun of it. I used to think it was like a girl thing, and it's not the manliest workout. But I will tell you that I feel amazing. And I'm super flexible for 56. Probably not the most manliest thing anyway. However, feel great. Nice. So I would highly recommend to anybody who wants to continue. And yes, when you're talking about working out, I think that keeps also your mental focus at work. Because if you're not healthy and you're not feeling good, your mind isn't going to feel good either. So I think it's all
helps
connected.
Your mental health.
It's all connected. Yeah.
So,
okay, so what am I not good at? So you said spirituality. I could probably strengthen that. So my mom passed away a couple years ago. My mom, me and my mom had the most amazing, closest relationship. It's been very difficult for me not to have her wisdom around. But I feel like I'm more spiritual after she passed only because I don't know what happened there. Oh, that was weird. Okay. Sorry, guys.
You're talking about your mom, bro.
Oh, wow.
Like, what?
Whoa.
That's your mom, bro.
No, that's right. You see?
What? Yeah, now I believe you.
Okay, well, mom's just sent us a signal. That's right. That's perfect, Gabriel. Yeah. Perfect. So, I want to see my mom again, bro. And I know you are a big believer, and I try more and more to believe every day. And that's something that I still need to continue to work on. But I never believed in anything I didn't understand before. Now I know that I don't understand a lot of things that you can't explain. And the older and the more wisdom you get, I guess, the more you realize that not everything is black and white, and not everything has a perfectly logical explanation, which is what I always thought life was about growing up. Because it can't be the end. You know, this is a vessel we're in, and we're going to end up hanging out there, hopefully, if we behave, you know, and we do the right things down here. Because I definitely don't want to go down there. But yes, my spirituality is definitely something I can definitely work on.
Okay, yes. I can tell you that being spiritual, it just basically means having a relationship with your Creator, with Christ.
Okay.
If you live in Christ, It's just having just like you have a relationship with your mom, like you have a relationship right now with your kids. It's having that. What do you do in a relationship for it to flourish? Well, you have to listen to what they're saying. You have conversations, right? And you spend time together. Well, it's the same thing when you experience that with the Lord. Meaning, how do you listen to the Lord? Well, through the Bible. The Bible speaks to you. The Lord speaks to you through the Bible, because when you're reading a passage, and that passage grabs you, because oh man, now you're reading the truth. You know what? You start understanding a lot of things in your own lives, and that's how the Lord speaks to you. How do you speak to Him? Well, through prayer. Okay, you pray, and prayer is just a conversation. Okay, you don't have to get all like
weird.
Yeah, it's just a conversation like we're having right now. And hey, God, hey, I feel bad about this. I messed up. So you talk to the Lord. That's how you pray to Him, and then you pick up the Bible for like 5-10 minutes. You read. Let's say you're reading the book of John or the book of Romans, and then you start opening yourself up to what God has for you and what He wants to talk to. That's how you grow your spirituality. And then you want to take it to another level, and you can join a church, right? A church where you go and now you're worshiping with other people, and then you're listening to a pastor teach from the Bible, and then now you're getting closer. Then another level to that is, you take some time out of the week to serve God's people. Like, okay, maybe they have an opening for you to, hey, yeah, I can serve. I can do that, for like an hour a week, and now you're exposing yourself to serving. Now that's totally different, because now you're helping God's people, right? So you're doing whatever it is, whether it's packing food for the children or feeding the homeless, whatever activities that the church has. Or maybe you're a greeter. I want to be a greeter. So okay, so now you you stand there for like 20 minutes while church is, people are you just greeting people. Hey, God bless you, So those things make you spiritually mature, and you start growing on the Lord. So those are the steps that you take if you wanna, if you were to want to grow that area of your life. And, you start with the Bible, and then you let the Lord speak to you. Prayer.
Yes.
Go to church.
I think, Gabriel, what you said makes a lot of sense. I think that the reason why I'm much more open to it now is because I do talk to my mom a lot. So I guess I've gotten more comfortable. I guess before Mom passed, I wasn't really used to talking to somebody who didn't talk back. You know what I mean? So I kind of felt a little awkward. But now, I want to make sure God is taking care of my mom up there. So after I have my conversation with Mom, I have a conversation with God, make sure my grandma, everybody's cool up there, and that we're going to be partying soon again together.
Yeah. But God does speak. Dude, the Lord speaks to me when I read the Bible. Today I was reading a passage, and the Lord speaks to me, bro. It's real. Like, I'm not saying that He talks to you with a voice. It's a different type of communication, because when you read the Bible, it penetrates you in a way that, or you read a passage, penetrates you in a way that okay, I get it, Lord. I understand what you're trying to tell me through that message.
I have like 3 Bibles, and I start trying to read them, and they're very difficult, to comprehend just because of the way they're written. So I'm going to show them to you, Gabriel, so you can tell me which one to focus out of the 3 of them, which one I'd associate with more, because I've been trying to do that, and I haven't had a tremendous amount of success.
The NIV, the New International Version, it's the easiest one.
Okay.
So it depends on which version you have, or which translation you have.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have the New King James, yeah, it's really, really difficult to understand that. Even I don't.
Thou this, thou that,
right. I don't touch that. But the NIV is one of the most easiest ones. And if you start with the New Testament, with the Gospels, with John, Luke, Matthew, and I forgot the other one.
Peter, no? Peter?
No, Peter wasn't. Yeah, he was. He was.
Paul?
No,
I went
Paul.
to St. Peter and Paul.
But yeah, man, that's how that area of your life, man, if you're able to strengthen that, and that's very similar to how you strengthen your physical body, right? Or how you lose weight. Dude, you don't lose weight from one day to another, right? You don't strengthen your spiritual life from one day to another. You have to continue. You have to be. So you already have the intangibles. You already have the principles that you have followed in every area of your life and able to apply them in this area. So it's not going to be very difficult. You just have to apply yourself to say, hey, I want to work on this area. Like, it's got to be a commitment that you make, just like you made a commitment with your health,
right,
fitness. You made a commitment to your business. You made a commitment to your kids that you were going to be a father that was going to be present.
right.
Okay. You make a commitment to this other area of your life. You already know how to do it. Once you make a decision, then that's it. You're a pro activator. You're going to follow through.
Right.
Because what you do is you follow through. You follow through in every area of your life. But you need to make the decision. So that's what
you're gonna help me get the right Bible, and I'm gonna invest at least a good 15, 20 minutes before I go to sleep, and that way we'll have a better conversation next time on this topic.
Nice, brother. And you can do it. You can do it on your phone too. But if you wanna, always definitely, if you wanna get the Bible, write some notes.
Yes,
It's always better to do it like that.
old school.
But yeah, man. But
what other pro activator aspect is there that I'm missing?
those are the major ones. But I have some examples over here that some people work on. For example, but the like confidence and self-esteem. Okay, that one is somebody is not really confident. They work on.
I don't have an issue with that
Yeah.
one.
You already worked on that. Self-discipline, you already have that. Okay, in many areas. Obviously, spiritual development, personal growth, and learning. Do you still do that? I mean, do you still read books? Do you still?
Yeah, I have employees that are 18, 20 years old, and I tell them, hey, you tell me whatever you're thinking, because I learn from everyone that I come into contact with. Just because you're young doesn't mean I can't learn from you, because let's face it, they grew up in a different mentality than I did. And I like to know how they think too, so that I can understand these newer markets. So yes, just because I'm 56 doesn't mean I won't listen to one of my 20-year-old employees and listen to their opinion. And sometimes they have the best input.
Yeah, they have a different insight.
Yeah, so definitely growing is a lifelong journey. You know, you're never going to stop learning and growing and adapting. And business is something that if you don't change with the times, you die like the dinosaurs. So it's very important to stay on top of it. It's very important to stay active. And, I could probably retire, but I think I'd be so bored I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So plus I love what I do, and I love to help people. And I love to help now the younger salespeople, which a few of them happen to be my kids.
We talked about the other day. Would you be open to writing a book? I mean, that would be a perfect thing for you to do.
I would. I don't know what it entails, and I just don't know what kind of, because remember you also said you write the book and then you got to do seminars, and
No. I mean, seminars is something else, but a book, it's your legacy. It's something, it's your life story. It's people need to see in detail, what got you through this hump and this other hump, because when somebody reads that, it can be motivating.
Yeah, I would love to write a book. I mean, what I read usually, which I should be reading the Bible, what I read usually is always Elon Musk, one of those successful people's books. Okay. Art of the Deal, Zig Ziglar. Which one did I read before Elon Musk that I loved? Oh, the Steve Jobs book. That one was good. The Apple book, which, we didn't align on a lot of aspects because he wasn't very close to his kids and wasn't very spiritual. Well, he was spiritual, I think, but he wasn't nice to his employees, and that I don't like, because I feel like you should treat your employees like your associates. You're a team. And you got to treat them like team members. The moment that I'm the boss and you got to listen to what I say without me showing you why you should follow me because of my demeanor and the way I get things done, if I'm ramming it down your throat, I don't think it has the same impact.
So, I mean, I think it's normal for you to treat your employees very similar to how you treat your household and your kids? Is that a thing?
And how you want to be treated yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So so you have a certain way that your company runs in very similar principles that you have applied in your family life with your children. Therefore, you bring that over to your employees, and it becomes that very similar dynamic. Is that accurate?
I never looked at it that way, but yeah, I guess that's why I'm pretty good in those related areas, is because I'm just good with people, and people know that I'm usually talking to them not to hurt them, but to help them, and that I usually don't even have any interest. I'm probably not even going to benefit from it. I just do it to help.
Do you call people out?
In private, never in front of anyone else. If I have something to say to Gabriel, I'll say, Gabriel, can I see you in my office for a sec? And we will quietly, very quietly, I will say, listen, I need you to help with me with this, that, and the other thing. I do not like reprimanding anybody in front of anyone else, because then you can elevate the situation, and I'm into de-escalating situations.
Right. So, no, because I feel like it's normal and appropriate to obviously keep people accountable. But like you said, doing it in the right setting, doing it the right way, so that way you get the right reaction and not the negative reaction.
Exactly, because the negative reaction could have a backward spiral, could embarrass them. They might say something dumb. They say it in front of your coworkers. Then you can't ignore that. There you have to take action. And if somebody's going to make a mistake, I always like to give them an opportunity to fix the mistake and not have to make a drastic decision just because they probably were hot-headed in that moment or something. I'm pretty calculated. I keep my cool when there's things that are going bad. I never think it's the end of the world. I always tell my kids this. This is a good one, by the way. Mm-hmm. I always say, whenever, Dad, I can't believe this happened. I say, what happened? They'll explain something to me. It's usually not that big a deal. And I say, let me ask you. Whenever I have a problem in life, what I put in my brain is, what is the worst possible outcome as a result of what just happened? And 99.99% of the time, the worst possible result because of what just happened is not that big a deal. The only time that I remember it being not a good thing was when I said, well, what's the worst thing that can happen if Mom doesn't make it? And she didn't make it. But she was going to suffer, and I'd rather her be up there with God.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I do not want see my mama suffering after how amazing she was. So once again, it was still 99.9%. So yeah, if ever my kids were growing up, have a problem at school, this kid is bullying me, I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is you get a detention? Okay, well, the detention will be over at the end of the day. You know, the worst thing that can happen is usually not a big deal. And we tend to blow things out of proportion in this lifetime for some reason.
You know what? That takes me to a point where, thank you so much for bringing that up. Years ago, I figured out what the key into having a great day was. And I think you figured it out too. So, you want to know what the key into having a great day is?
What is it?
All right, here it goes. To everybody out there, take some notes. All right? George, the key into having a great day every day is, do not let absolutely anything bother you.
Yeah.
Brother, if you don't let anything bother you throughout the whole day, it could be a regular day, things come at you. But if you don't let anything bother you, at the end of the day, I can guarantee you that you will have a great day, feel good about it, have joy in your heart, and be happy.
100%. I think it's pretty much the same thing, just in a different way.
It is. But in able to have that, it takes a mindset.
Yeah, you got to say, hey, relax, chill.
So how did you acquire that? Do you remember? Can you pinpoint to the time, the reason why you acquired that type of mindset? Because
okay, so all my life, while I was growing up and I was broke, and my number one objective was financial independence, right? It was like, make sure that my kids have everything that they want and that I don't have to be worrying 24/7 about getting it for them. I believe that I began to feel that way once my income got to a certain level where I knew that if it was a $5,000 problem, it wasn't going to be that big a deal. You know, and then you get to the point where your income level's at a different level, and then, you know, they crash the car and the deductible's $10,000. And you know, and I guess that when you feel like it's like you can overcome that obstacle, then the problems aren't that big. You know, when you're broke and there's no money in the emergency savings and you get a flat tire, the shit is hitting the fan.
So a certain amount of
income,
financial success can give you that peace of mind.
I think so, man. I think that if I wouldn't say that, I think I'd be lying to myself and to everybody, because I think that once I knew I had enough reserves so that when they said, Dad, and I said, what? There was nothing they could say that would faze me. That was a good feeling.
That's good. That's a good superpower to have.
It is.
Nice. Yeah, I like that, brother. That's good. But we're hitting a lot of key points.
I think so.
Okay? We talked about all of the areas that you have been able to achieve. Man, I want to congratulate you, brother. You are definitely a role model, and to a lot of people. What would you say to somebody? Like, what would you say to your younger self? Like, would you change anything to make it better? Would you change anything? What would you say to somebody who's just starting out right now? Somebody in their early 20s. What would you say to them so that they can have a similar success to what you had?
I would definitely, as difficult as it is at a young age to understand goal setting, I would definitely say that was, and remember, I did not understand it until I had a kid or two. When you have a kid, I remember when my ex-wife was pregnant with our first daughter, I remember I didn't have enough money to feed the dog. This was back in 91 because she was born in 92. Then the hurricane came, Hurricane Andrew, in August of 92, and she was born on October 31st. And I remember there's a thing that the Cubans say, that no matter how broke you are, that the kids, when you're going to have a kid, that they come with a piece of bread under their arm for you to be able to feed them, which doesn't really translate that great in English. But
en español.
En español, vienen con un pan debajo del brazo. Okay?
Never heard that.
Yeah, well, it's a Cuban thing. So you're Venezuelan, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
I mean, I've been long enough here in
Miami, where you should know a few Cubans.
Yeah.
Well, long story short is, it's incredible. But by the time Jessica was born, already I was beginning to make more sales. I don't know why. It's like I had this goal subconsciously that she had to eat. And no matter what happened, I had to feed her. Obviously, my ex-wife at that time, who used to work at a veterinarian, not making much money at all, was going to have to stop working to take care of her, so I was going to have to work harder. But once I had a kid, it propelled me to make these goals. So I guess what I'm saying is, before I had the kids and I would listen to Zig Ziglar and he was talking about goal setting, I really didn't understand, just like I really didn't understand how to pray until my mom passed. It's these things that happen to you that trigger something in your mindset where now you understand things that you didn't understand before. So I guess that's the extent of it. I mean,
the goal setting then.
The goal setting 100%, the $2,000 by Friday or had to work Saturdays. That changed my life. But I wasn't able to do that until I had the kids, because I had a dog and I wasn't able to do it with just a dog.
Nice. That's good. I guess one of the things that I would say is that if anybody is, are you saying that it's hard for people to, it's hard for them to really assimilate that attitude? Do you think if they haven't gotten to those, like you had a child, that made a difference in your life? If somebody doesn't have a child, man, how do I get to that level? You know, I guess that's the hard part.
I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. And you listen, you can have a child and not get to that level because not everybody's wired the same way. I always was very ambitious as a kid, which is why I almost got myself into a lot of trouble. And then I realized that I was smart enough and had some skills that I could do things the right way, not in any illegal fashion. The 80s were a tough time growing up, okay? The 80s were a tough time. 70s, I hear, were worse, but the 80s were a tough time. There was a lot of drugs going back and forth, and you see easy money, and you try to delve in here and delve in, and before you know it, you get into big trouble. And you ever get into that business, you need to be able to kill somebody, and I'm not a killer. I'm a business guy.
Yeah.
So thankfully, I didn't die and I didn't go to jail. And I was able to get out of that around 18, 19 years of age. And then I just focused. And then I realized that I wasn't going to have the success that I wanted unless I put forth the effort. And, you know, I've always known how to work till 9, 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, tomorrow's another day and people complain about that stuff. But as long as I get to where I want to go, the effort wasn't that big a deal for me. I know how to go through some pain.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of successful people know how to put off things they want to do.
Like pleasures?
Yeah, until they get all the negative. I always want to get the bad stuff out of the way. I do it first because it sucks. Nobody wants to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to leave that for last. Because then, when I'm feeling the weakest, I'm going to have to do this stuff. So if I have something terrible, there's a motivational book they call it Eating Frogs. That if you have something, there's a client that calls you who's disgruntled, you can't stand this guy. Get that out of the way first thing in the morning. Do not think about that till noon. That is not healthy for him, for you, for anybody. And all it does is escalate. And as I said, de-escalation, I think, is the better way of handling things in life.
Which is probably why you go to the gym early in the morning and get that out of the way. It's one of the most painful things.
Because I'm sure as hell not going at this time.
Yeah. I mean, imagine.
I'll be there tomorrow morning. I didn't make it today.
All right. Well, George, it was great talking to you.
Thank
you
Gabriel.
so much for the wisdom that you bestowed upon us. And welcome to the Pro Activators Club, my brother.
I am very happy to be a Pro Activator, hopefully an elite Pro Activator.
That's right. Once you hit that spiritual mark,
there you go. I got to round it out, guys.
There's different levels to the Pro Activator.
We all have work to do.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect, bro.
That's right.
But I will never stop trying.
That's the way it is. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining this chat. Please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And until next time, thank you so much.